honored to host this conference, the 10th in a series of conferences we have held since the organization started in 2016. Kyambogo as a university is committed to fostering mutually beneficial linkages with many institutions on the continent and outside the continent. One of the activities we have been involved in as Kyambogo University is an attempt to develop joint research programs and also to promote postgraduate programs, PhD training and masters. We have partnerships with some universities in Kenya, like Egerton, like the University of Eldoret, like Kenyatta University. We have strong partnerships with them where we have our students registered in those institutions doing their PhDs. They're being supervised either by that university alone or jointly with us. So we have been working to ensure that we promote research in our region. One of the ways to promote research is through promoting graduate training, masters and PhDs. Because most of the problems of our continent can be analyzed by people who have the capacity to analyze our problems, devise solutions, conduct research, come up with findings, and recommend solutions to these problems. So Kyambogo has been fostering this partnership to ensure that we stimulate our research capacity, which will benefit our country.
And how does this conference reflect on Kyambogo University?
When you talk about inclusive education, there has been a call from government and many policymakers to ensure that all learners gain access to education, irrespective of background, irrespective of whether you consider them as normal or persons with disabilities. Kyambogo University is the leading institution in provision of higher education for people with disabilities. I think we have a very large population of more than 700 students who are disabled in various ways. Some of them cannot speak, some of them cannot hear, some of them cannot speak and cannot hear, some of them are physically disabled, some of them have learning difficulties, and we have a department of special needs education and rehabilitation. And we have also developed a center to help people with disabilities to be able to access higher education. So we've been doing this. It's an expensive endeavor, but we want to thank all those organizations that have supported these students to ensure that they can access education. Regarding innovations, we have a very productive faculty of engineering and science where we come up with many innovations, inventions, new ways of doing things. And we have come up with a research policy and a grants management policy. We are going to support people with innovative ideas to be able to upscale them. Upscaling them normally requires a vibrant private sector, which is not the case in our country, but we are working with them to see how we can translate research findings into beneficial products for our society.
So you spoke about you have. Yes.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And curriculum, concept of curriculum is that curriculum is everything that a person has to go through. Now, when you look at our curricula we have in Uganda and so many other African countries, it was started by the colonialists. And you may find that to some level, we are still operating on a curriculum that was developed by the colonialists. And their curriculum, of course, was meant to serve their interests, but not the interests of the natives. Now, a good curriculum should be developed basing on the societal needs. For example, when you look at the society of Uganda and the natural resources we have, things we have to do, we have to develop a curriculum that will enable this, will equip knowledge, skills, values to this learner to be able to manipulate the environment and be productive. Anyone that goes through the curriculum, whether primary, secondary, or university. But our curriculum we have in Uganda, a person can finish P7, can finish S4, S6, and at times even university when he cannot productively be able to manipulate the environment and live, an independent, sustainable life and contribute to production. So you find that as Kyambogo, we are advocating for a curriculum that speaks to the societal needs so that we train people who are productive in a way contributing to social, national, economic development. But the curriculum we have, much as endeavors have been done to come up with a competence-based curriculum, but also we are doing it in piecemeal. It's not holistic. I think that's why we have now a variation in the pre-primary curriculum, primary, secondary, and now university. You find that now the competence-based started with S1 to S4, even S level, not yet, okay? So we need to have an intention effort to sit down and look at what kind of knowledge, learnings, ideas, skills, values do we need to enable people either be productive in mining industry, agriculture industry, fishing industry, manufacturing. Otherwise, the kind of education we have is generic and too theoretical, preparing a person to go and look for a job instead of equipping this person to exploit, manipulate the environment, and live a sustainable life and contribute to socio-economic development. So I think curriculum issues is a big kind of aspect we need to reflect on and think about. But unfortunately, in Uganda, we need something like education think tanks, where we can have the top brains in the country. These are professors in education, experienced teachers, so that we can sit and come up with, the curriculum that we need our people to go through. But you find that most of the curriculum we have, either it is donor influenced or driven, and when the natives are not involved in, coming up with these ideas of what do we need our people really to go through in order to be able to live a productive life. Yes.
And also, just lastly, about
If you have been listening to the president when he's talking about science and innovations, he has clearly said the curricula which we are running in our institutions is the one we inherited from the colonialists. The colonialists taught us to go that far, but did not teach us to go beyond a certain level. For example, what am I saying? At a meeting, he actually challenged me personally. He said, vets are trained to teach farmers how to produce milk, produce more and more milk. But we never teach students what you can get from milk as products. What can you get from milk? Our agricultural curriculum trains students how to produce coffee, produce cotton. But nobody teaches them how you can add value to these products to be able to make money. And that's the new thinking, that you revise your curriculum to teach students to be able to identify value-added products that can help people make money. This is the new thinking we are going into. Talking about education, look at the way we are teaching our students, how we are assessing them. All those need to be reviewed. And
Turyagyenda, I'm the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports. I'm here at Kyambogo to attend the Inter-University International Conference. And the theme is how to make sure that education becomes equitable and inclusive. So as a sector, we have been at ensuring that all children learn, and we've been working on inclusivity starting from the lower schools, with teachers receiving children even in the general schools, not just the specific special needs schools, but encouraging children to be recruited in the normal schools and receive education. Now, our curriculum, as you may know, is in the process of being transformed from the former knowledge-based, objective-biased to competence-based learning. And this one is highly inclusive. because each learner comes up with an innovation in your own area of thinking and working. And this project helps you to understand the content and also the concepts of the actual learning process. So as I speak, we have it at lower secondary, but we also have now an adapted version at the higher secondary, which we call A level. And the process is on for the review of the lower secondary, lower school, primary school. So progressively, we want all learners to be able to enjoy learning. And learning is not just getting things on the chalkboard or smartboard, whatever you are using, and writing it in a book and reading it and cramming it. Real learning is now understanding that concept and translating it into knowledge and real life work. And that is what is emphasized in competence-based learning.
Okay. So what are some of the strategic investments or policy directions the ministry has prioritized to enhance, for example?
We wanted to make sure that the use of these tools, the ICT tools like AI, chatbox, and others, remain tools and don't deceive young people that they are the real thing. And now the process is on to provide guidelines of how does a teacher, for example, or a lecturer, if I would use university, how would a lecturer know that this is the child's thinking and knowledge, although he may have used a tool called AI? How does a lecturer know? So the process is on in universities, but also at the lower levels, to come up with guidelines so that we can assist education not to be a plagiarism aspect through the chat boxes. However, the education system has continually been introducing ICT in all the education levels, and eventually, as we get our oil, I'm looking forward, we should be able to get computers for children right up to primary so that they can practice and be able to catch up with the rest of the world. Fortunately for children, they are born in the era of computers, so it's a natural thing. They just learn how to do it even when you've not taught them. But no, even at the education system, we want to see that they learn how to use them, but also learn the dangers that can come out of the information they pick from the globe on the computers and phones and so on. So those are the guidelines we are now fine-tuning. Once that is done, then we shall be ready to go. Yes, the consortium is, as you may have learned from the Vice Chancellor at Kyambogo University, but also from the chair, Professor Keti of Nigeria. It started between two people who thought it's better to be two than one. And they came together and said, let's now form a partnership. But progressively, they introduced it the rest of the countries in Africa. And as of now, 7 countries are involved in the consortium. And this is their 10th conference, meaning that they've been able to come together, learn together, share research, share things that are common for all of us as Africa. And I'm confident, as I mentioned in the minister's paper, that these learnings, which are for us Africans, will translate not only into knowledge,